Day 458 of doing a LeetCode problem every day until I get a job. All right, y'all, we're back again another day, another LeetCode problem where we're doing daily LeetCode problems. And today we have question number 904, fruit into baskets. The difficulty level is medium, but don't worry because you already know we're going to keep the solution as simple and easy to understand as possible. But before we get started, y'all, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share. And if you need any new Apple AirPods, go ahead and check out that link in the description so you can get you some. Now let's see what the question says. You are visiting a farm that has a single row of fruit trees arranged from left to right. The trees are represented by an integer array of fruits where fruits of I is the type of fruit the ith tree produces. You want to collect as much fruit as possible. However, the owner has some strict rules that you must follow. You only have 2 baskets and each basket can only hold a single type of fruit. There is no limit to the amount of fruit each basket can hold. Starting from any tree of your choice, you must pick exactly 1 fruit from every tree, including the start tree, while moving to the right. The picked fruits must fit in one of your baskets. Once you reach a tree with fruit that cannot fit in your basket, you must stop. Given the integer array fruits, return the maximum number of fruits you can pick. Alright, y'all, so that may seem a little bit confusing at first, so let's take a look at these examples so we can make sure that we are doing this problem correctly. So in example 1, we have our input fruits equals an array of integers, 1, 2, 1. The output is 3. Explanation says we can pick from all 3 trees. So let's break this example down one step further just so we can really understand what's going on. So we have 2 requirements or 2 rules we must follow. The first rule is you only have 2 baskets and each basket can only hold a single type of fruit. There is no limit on the type of fruit each basket can hold. And starting from any tree of your choice, you must pick exactly 1 fruit from every tree, including the start tree, while moving to the right. The picked fruits must fit in one of your baskets. So in this case, we could pick from all 3 trees because these 2 fruits right here are the same fruit, so they can go into the same basket. Remember, we only have 2 baskets, but since these 2 fruits are the same, we could put them in the same basket, and then we could put this fruit in the second basket. So in total, we can collect all 3 fruits because these two 1 fruits can go in the same basket. So that's from 3 different trees. Remember, the count or each index is a different tree. So we can pick from all 3 trees because index 0 and index 2 have the same fruit. Those trees have the same fruit, so we can put them in the same basket. So just in case that didn't make sense, let's take a look at example 2. So in example 2, we have our input fruits equals an array of integers 0, 1, 2, and 2. This time our output is still 3. Explanation says we can pick from trees 1, 2, and 2. If we had started at the first tree, we would only be able to pick from trees 0 and 1. So remember, we want to return the maximum number of fruits we can pick. And in this case, the maximum is 3, right? So once again, we could put these 2 fruits in the same basket. So now we got 2 fruits from 2 different trees, 2 of the same fruit from 2 different trees in one basket. Then we could put this fruit in the second basket, and in total that's 3 different trees or 3 different fruits that we picked. If we would have just picked these 2, then we would only pick from 2 trees, and since we want the maximum, that's not enough, right? This would be 1 tree, this would be 1 tree. That would be only 2 trees that we picked from, or 2 fruits that we picked. Where if we do it this way and we go from 1 and then 2 and 2, that's 3 fruits we can pick. We also could have did 0 and then 2 and 2. That would work as well because that would still be 3 fruits. What we can't do is 0 and 1 because that's only 2 fruits and we want to return the maximum. So let's take a look at example 3, last example before we get into the solution. So in example 3, our input fruits equals an array of integers 1, 2, 3, 2, and 2. This time our output is 4. Explanation says we pick from trees 2, 3, 2, and 2. If we had started at the first tree, we would only pick from trees 1 and 2. So, sorry, y'all. going back to example 2, we can't pick the 0 tree because it says right here, starting from any tree of your choice, you must pick exactly one fruit from every tree, including the start tree, while moving to the right. So if we pick from this tree, we would not be able to skip this tree and then pick the next two tree from the next two trees. We have to pick our trees in order. So that's why we can't pick this 0. I have to correct that from the last example. Now let's look at example 3. In this example, our output is 4 because we can pick this tree right here. Then we could pick this tree. We have 2 different baskets, but then when we pick these last 2 trees, they can still go into the first basket. And in total, that was 4 different trees that we were able to pick, and that's the maximum. So that's why our output is 4. If we would have started here, we would have had to end right here because we only have 2 baskets, right? So if we would have went to the next tree, it wouldn't have been able to fit in the basket. So we would have had to stop because it says right here, once you reach a tree with fruit that cannot fit in your basket, you must stop. So if we started from here, we would have to stop right here after the second tree, which would only be 2 trees, as opposed to starting right here, we can pick 4 trees without stopping. So I hope that makes sense to y'all. And now that we understand the question, let's get into the fun part, the actual solution, y'all. Solution not that difficult. So first thing we're going to do is we are going to create a variable called start, and that's going to be the left boundary of the sliding window. So we're going to declare a variable called start, and we're going to set that equal to 0. Then we're going to create another variable, which is going to be the length of the longest valid subarray that we found so far. So we come underneath this, we're going to declare a variable called longest and set that equal to 0 as well. Then we need a dictionary, which is going to store the fruit type and the count of fruit in the window. So for this, we could declare a variable called basket, and that we're going to set. We're going to cast it as a 2D array. We're going to cast it as a dictionary of integers, and then we're going to initialize it with a blank dictionary like this. Boom. Now we need to expand the sliding window by moving the end pointer. So for that, we're going to say for end in 0 ... less than fruits count. We're going to open up the brackets. Now we're going to add the current fruit to the basket, and we're going to increase the count by saying basket, open up the square bracket, fruits, square bracket end, come outside the square bracket, comma, default, colon, 0. Come outside of that, we're going to say plus equals 1. And this is going to keep count for us of each fruit that we see. We're going to start the count from 0. Boom, that's what this default default 0 is. It's where we're starting our count from, and we're going to start from 0. So if we have more than 2 types of fruits in the basket, we need to shrink the window from the left until we have at most 2 types. So we come right here and we can say while basket dot keys dot count is greater than 2. We're going to open up the brackets, and if no more of the fruit remain, we're going to remove it from the basket. So we're going to say if basket square bracket fruits square bracket start, come outside of that, so equals 0. Then we're going to open up the brackets, and we're going to say basket square bracket fruits square bracket start. We're going to set that equal to nil. I'm saying equals nil. Sorry, y'all. Equals nil. Boom. And then we're going to move the left boundary forward by coming right here and saying start plus equals 1. Boom. Now we need to update the longest valid window size that we found so far. So we can come right here and we're going to say longest equals max, open up the parentheses, longest, colon, open up the parentheses again. Sorry about that, y'all. and then we're going to say end minus start plus 1. Boom. Then we're going to return the size of the longest window containing at most 2 types of fruit by coming right here. And all we have to do is say return longest. So this right here is going to find the longest, or find the maximum value of longest and n minus start plus 1. Whichever one is larger, we're going to store that in longest. Then we just come right here and we return longest. So let's go ahead and give it a run. Make sure it runs correctly before we submit it. Okay, we have an error, so let's see if we can figure out where this error is coming from. Let's see, oh. Sorry, y'all. We need to remove one occurrence of the fruit at the start position before we do this. So we need to come right here. Sorry, y'all, about that. We need to come right here and say basket, square bracket, fruits, square bracket, start, exclamation point to unwrap it, and we're going to say minus equals 1. Now that should do the trick. So now let's run it. And it's accepted. So let's go ahead and submit it. Make sure it's still accepted after we submit it. Let's see. Ooh. Okay, 42 milliseconds beats 34.61% of users. We can definitely get those numbers up, but right now we just want to be able to solve the problem that is presented to us. I feel like this is a good and simple and easy to understand solution that we can all learn from. So we can use this knowledge that we learned from this solution, and we can use that later on down the line of our LeetCode journey, y'all. So with that being said, make sure you get one more look at the code. This is the top part. This is the rest of it. Boom. And yeah, y'all, I hope y'all learned something today, and I hope to see y'all here tomorrow for another day, another LeetCode problem. See y'all then.